Hare Krishna, thanks for joining. Let me share my screen. Okay, hope most of you are able to see my screen. We'll start today's session. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thanks a lot for joining today's session. We will, in this particular session, actually, we are starting the Bhakti Yoga. This next 7 chapters, chapters 7 to 12, they constitute the middle most important chapters of Bhagavad Gita. And in this particular theme, we understand more glories of Lord Sri Krishna. So this section is also called as Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So Jnana means knowledge, but Vijnana means realized knowledge. So yoga of knowledge and realizations. So what is it so special? Because first 6 chapters we spoke so much about purification, how to perform work, in which consciousness to perform work. But in this chapter, the connection while performing work, how to think of Krishna, what should be our intention, that is getting addressed. So one of the most important theme of this particular chapter is capability to develop that something which is invisible, that is the hand of the Lord. So Krishna gives multiple examples and specifically highlights that people who have developed this vision, that to see the hand of Lord in every situation and in their life, in every great aspects what they see in their life, and specifically how Lord is helping them to advance. So to see the hand of Lord is not an ordinary vision. It takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of practice, realizations, penance, austerities. So Krishna says here that out of many thousands among men, means literally thousands, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So literally this percentage is very, very less, that people who have actually applied this knowledge and who understands Krishna in truth. So before starting this chapter, Krishna introduces important concepts, that he is controller of both inferior and superior energy. So what is this inferior or material energy? It constitutes 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. So the gross elements are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So most of us have studied the periodic tables in our academics, and we know so many things about what all what all things we can perform, experiments we can perform, and then construct various metals and all of this. So technically, whatever entire periodic table and whatever we see around, everything comes in this particular earth, water, fire. So all the liquids, all the solids, fiery elements, air and ether. Ether means space. Everything comes in the material energy. Now there is this very important subtle energy, that constitutes mind, intelligence, and ego, which all of us sustain. We are capable to think, we are capable to decide, discriminate everything based on these particular 3 subtle energies of the Lord. And most important is, we are neither these gross elements nor these subtle elements. Who are we? That we learned in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We are spirit souls which cannot be cut, which are eternal, which are full of knowledge, full of bliss. These are all living entities. Every living entity within human beings, within animals, within trees, anything which grows and it has life, that is a spiritual energy of the Lord. So after describing these 2 energies, Krishna says, introduces to very interesting concept. There is no truth superior to me. So few days back, my daughter was asking me about from where everything started, who is the origin of what, and when we reach to God, who created God. I mean, many such questions come. Krishna actually, because such questions they will have practically no end. And in latter part of this slideshow, we will understand that what it takes. I mean, to understand this concept of infinity, to understand this concept of actual origin. So Krishna says here very clearly, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me. So Krishna is the ultimate point from whom everything originated. And important here is Krishna gives very interesting example as pearls are strung on a thread. So everything is rest upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So you see some pearls, definitely they are not hanging on their own. There is some string or something which is holding all of them together. So right now everybody appreciates pearls, but without thread, they will not be together. So the anybody who has this vision to developed vision to understand how Krishna is there behind everything glorious in this world, then he can actually see presence of God in every small and every great thing. Krishna helps us to develop this vision by giving multiple examples. So Krishna says here that I am the taste of water. So now these are small things, but without this, just imagine water without taste. The any liquid or any solid things we are having without taste. Then Krishna says, I am the light of sun and moon. I am syllable Om in Vedic mantra. I am the sound in ether and ability in man. In every verse, he is actually touching one subtle and some gross elements. So water, light, and ether, these are all kind of they come in gross category, but this ability which comes in very subtle element. Now Krishna says, I am the original fragrance of the earth. So every time rain happens after a very heavy summer season, very heated summer season, and first fragrance comes, that fragrance from earth is actually Krishna. I am the heat in the fire. So the light and heat which is sustaining us, it's actually from Krishna. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. Now, penances is very subtle thing because now there is a difference between austerity and penances. Austerity means it's a voluntarily inconveniences for personal purification. So this is something which I'm looking forward voluntarily. And penance means I might have done something wrong, but I take some voluntary austerity to compensate whatever bad things I had done. So that is a penances. And penances actually keeps us rooted because we think that this austerity is what I'm doing. This is not something which I'm doing any favor to anybody. This is for my own personal purification. So ascetics who are doing this penances, Krishna saying that energy coming from him. Original seed of all existence. Now this we'll see in the later slide again. See what is the seed of existences. Of course, the intelligence of every intelligent person you see, prowess of every powerful person, all these subtle elements, gross elements, they are actually originating from Krishna. He is the original source. He is the original reservoir of every single great quality, every single splendor we see in this particular world. Krishna also says, I am the strength of strong and I'm a sex life which is not contrary to religious principle. Uh, I would actually would like to highlight something here because um, two things are very important in life: death and birth. So death, Krishna says that if we are able to complete our purification to the extent that we are able to remember the Lord at the time of death, we will go back to Him. Or if we think of something else, whatever some other material or whatever other desire it might be, it will decide our next destiny. What about the birth? Now, the thing we have in all previous chapters, we saw that how people, in what consciousness they perform the karma based on that, what all reactions they have accumulated, what all impressions they have accumulated. And then based on that, there are so many innumerable souls, depending on type of experiences they had gone through, whatever they have learned, whatever they have aspired. Each of them carries very specific type of karma. So when it comes to birth, it all starts with the conception. The moment of conception, whatever uh, the man, woman, or that couple is thinking, at the time of conception, that kind of consciousness actually attracts that specific soul which has that specific propensities. So for example, it is I knew one of the example of some warrior. His both his father and mother, that Shivaji actually in Maharashtra, both of his father and mother, they were very desperate to get a child who can establish the rule of dharma. And with that, when Shivaji was born, as we can see, he had these qualities inbuilt in him, and right from childhood he could accomplish so many things. So this science of conception, attracting the right souls in family, is very very important. Keeping right consciousness or even performing this act at right time, all of this matters a lot. So anyone who is just indulging in these activities on beer bottles and without bothering about time and consciousness definitely cannot attract very high quality souls. But this Garbhadhana Sanskar, or the knowledge, this science itself, Krishna highlights here, and the sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. So everything we can see that how Krishna is helping us to remember that he is controlling, he is the energy behind everything. So every time this test of water, the sound ability, something which is not directly seen but which is supporting them. So like this waterfall, you may not see directly source, but by looking at externals, you know there is some source. So we should develop this vision. Whatever glorious we see, it is actually empowered by the Lord from behind. Now the thing is, when Krishna speaks of various things, one important part comes is the entire material nature, which constitute of three modes, particularly goodness, passion, ignorance. Everything is running on these particular modes and their combinations. The details we will see in the 13th and 14th chapter. But Krishna is saying here, look at this 7.14 verse, this divine energy of mind. That means it is this Maya, or this external energy of Krishna, it is under his control. It belongs to Krishna. It consists of three modes of material nature, and it is difficult to overcome. So any person with his own tiny intelligence, tiny determination, tiny resources, tiny prowess, for him to overcome the forces of this material nature, to overcome these temptations or so many other material attractions, it's literally impossible. But those who have surrendered unto me can definitely easily cross over it. Now, why we have to understand this, that this external energy, or what is Maya, is being referred here. It is not to punish anybody or to reward anybody. It is there all the time just to test whatever we are developed in life. This particular energy is there to test, and it's not too particularly interested to mark somebody failure or success, but it is there to test. But when somebody is surrendered to Krishna, then all the tests which are there, they are actually progressive in his life, directing him to develop very specific divine qualities, very interesting perspective, which will deepen his faith in spiritual life. So it's very important that these tests which are arranged, they are not randomly, they are there for every specific purpose. Nothing happens in life by chance. So this entire knowledge about Krishna, the how the material world is functioning, what qualities I'm supposed to develop, what is Krishna's role, who am I, what is the relationship, and after knowing how am I supposed to work, in what consciousness I'm supposed to work, and this wisdom of this application, how to apply all this philosophical knowledge in practical life, this is what actually is the only thing one needs to know in this particular world. So entire Bhagavad Gita is just about that. So one can, after understanding that this application of knowledge, or it becomes much easier when somebody is surrendered to Krishna. So Krishna then guides us to important concept, that who are able to surrender and who are not able to surrender. So in this particular section, Krishna actually says that there are four type of people. By default, they are not at all inclined to surrender. Now, who are those four types of people? Grossly foolish. It's actually kind of foolish means they have no idea what to do, what not to do, nor do they have any desire about knowing these things. they are grossly foolish. Lowest among mankind means over a period of time they have acquired such a horrible habits, and they are just accustomed to live their life in a very low quality, and they are no more interested to learn or know anything higher than that. Those whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. Now this category is what maximum we see around, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. So these people appear to be knowledgeable, they might be having a lot of degrees, they might be having a lot of blogs and volumes to write on certain things, but their perspective will be completely atheistic. How they do not want to accept the existence of God at all, and Krishna put them in the category of whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. They will not have any desire to surrender, definitely, and who partake the atheistic nature of demons. So demons by nature are atheistic. They are just depending on their own strength, and then they think that with their own strength, with their own austerity penances, they will be able to achieve anything in life. Anybody who thinks in that way, they are actually kind of partaking atheistic nature of the demons. So these four categories: who are foolish, who are developed terrible habits, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who wants to be atheistic. Such people will never be able to surrender to the Lord. Now there are four kinds of pious men who do surrender. The basic category is distressed. Most of us are distressed, but not exactly after distress everybody surrenders to the Lord. Those who are already in knowledge about the Lord and Krishna puts them in specific distress, that kind of distress helps them to surrender to the Lord. Desire of any kind of wealth or prosperity. So such people also knowing who is the root cause. Now in later chapters we'll see the demigod concept and from where the actual benedictions are getting passed. So desirers of such prosperity, they also surrender to the Lord. Next two categories are important. The inquisitive. Inquisitive means trying to understand, okay, the planets are moving on orbit. Everything is so well designed in the world, right from small species in animals to big things, right from weather and everything is so nicely, perfectly managed. Who is behind this design? So there is some inquisitive people, and who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. After knowing that, okay, there is people who have come across scriptures and they want to know more about this spirituality. These are the kind of increasing level categories who definitely surrender to the Lord, and that surrender leads them to go to the next level. Krishna says best among them is one who is in full knowledge, one who has already acquired this knowledge, and who is always engaged in pure devotional service. He has no other materialistic desires left. Now, um, let's talk more about this best category, what we discussed. Krishna says that after many births and deaths, who has actually in knowledge, he surrenders unto me. So person has acquired knowledge. After many births, he has acquired this spiritual knowledge. And knowing me to be cause of all causes. Such a great soul is very rare. So I want to highlight a little bit about Vedic cosmos here, particularly trying to understand this cause of all causes terminology. So right side you see this concept of Mahavishnu. Now this is not exactly in Gita, but it comes in other scriptures. But this concept helps us much more to understand how the cause of all causes is there, and there is also concept of Brahman which is discussed in this particular chapter. So this Mahavishnu, the form of Krishna, expansion of Krishna, as he breathes in and breathes out, when he breathes out, universes comes from every pore of his skin. As he breathes in, universes are again dissolved back into the Mahavishnu's body. Each universe, like for example, our universe, lifespan is approximately 311 trillion years, 40 billion years. That much time, the soul, once he enters in universe, for literally billions and trillions of lifetime, they go through every various forms and trying to enjoy and exploit these resources of material nature. And depending on what kind of desire or hatred or different kind of dualities they have acquired, when Mahavishnu breathes in, they are again back in Mahavishnu's body. When the next time universes are created, again they are put back into universes. Again they try to enjoy this material world. This cycle of breathing, breathe out means literally trillions of lifetimes goes on and on till the time one develops this desire that I'm done with this material world and now I just want to go back to Lord in the spiritual world and serve directly to Him. Till the time his desire is not arising, person is these souls are just trying to enjoy in this particular material world. About talking to this particular material world, important concept Krishna talks about these demigods. So worshippers of demigods, they attend temporary celestial realms while pure devotees reach Krishna eternally. Let's talk about the demigods and then we talk about the eternal realm. So for demigods, there is very interestingly Krishna explains that those whose intelligence is stolen by material desires, that means who are fully obsessed that I have to get this by hook or crook. Those who are just obsessed with that material desires, for them they always are looking for some kind of shortcuts and they are do not want to go through purificatory process of purifying their own consciousness, bringing themselves up to certain level. No, they want at whatever contamination of intelligence mind I have at my level itself, I want these material desires to be satisfied. For such people, they surrender into various demigods. They may follow various rules of worship. But interesting concept here is at least they are surrendering to somebody for whatever reason. So as we mentioned this case of distress, if person is having knowledge that Krishna is the origin, he is the cause of all causes, he may surrender to Krishna. But if he finds out or anybody else finds out that if I worship so and so deity, the other people are getting quick results, let me also do that, follow that way. So if person is even he wants to surrender unto some demigod, that faith, that steady faith is actually given by Lord Himself. So he, as a super soul, he is already in our heart. And if somebody wants to worship certain demigod, Krishna wants his faith steady, because that is a basic minimum requirement which without which he cannot even perform any sacrifice or any kind of activity. So with that faith, then he endeavors, he follows specific path, rules and regulations, and then after pleasing that particular demigods, he obtains his desire. But Krishna is actually saying these benefits are ultimately actually bestowed upon me because that demigods or any devata is actually empowered by the Lord, the Supreme Lord, to give benedictions in turn to their worshippers. Now the thing is this whatever benedictions are acquired from demigods, the problem with them is they are limited and temporary. And person if he is too much attached to demigods, he may go to the planets of demigods, the celestial realms what we discussed. But again, they are limited and temporary. They may be very long lifespan, maybe hundreds and thousands of years. But again, it's again temporary, it's not eternal. But the same amount of efforts, if we put worshipping Krishna, because we are ready to develop those qualities, ready to go and undergo the purification, the person becomes very eligible to return to the Krishna. So one may we have limited time, we have limited resources, limited intelligence, limited ability. It's our decision where we want to invest it. And since it is touching the topic of devatas, it's very important point, but should not be taken otherwise. We are not talking about disrespecting any demigods. They are all empowered living being, much more higher and much more empowered than us, much more qualified than us. So the solution for demigod worship is we should not worship them for any kind of material benefits. Even we can tell them, please give me more humility and more purification of my consciousness so that I progress spiritually. This prayer is not a problem, but any kind of material benefits prayer, it will definitely degrade our consciousness, and we should not disrespect demigods for sure. So rather than worshipping demigods, whatever time and energy and resources we have got, we can utilize for the prepared purification and supreme destination. Now, when we are talking about the demigods, that's about within one universe. So you can see the first diagram here, one universe. And we have separate Vedic cosmology session where we explain how the universes are created, how the various planetary systems are there, what are the lives on those uh, entities who are living on those particular planets, what kind of life they have. And even we discussed about hellish planets and various lower planets, what kind of life they have. So everything within this universe, role of demigods, the Shiva, Brahma, Durga, we discussed all of them. Now important concept is what is beyond these universes. So we discussed about this Mahavishnu. He is emanating lot of universes, and Beyond the Mahavishnu, there is a realm of Brahma Jyoti or Brahman, it is called as. And what is this Brahman? It's an impersonal area where there are no direct personal forms available in this particular Brahman. And many of the theologists or many of the philosophies, they say that God was impersonal before and he has now assumed the personality. So Krishna, when he comes to the material world, he actually traverses through the Brahmajyoti and then coming to the universe. So it appears that he has originated from the Brahman. But Krishna actually says very clearly in these verses that his spiritual abode is even beyond the Brahmajyoti. So from Vedic cosmos perspective, spiritual world is much bigger and much beyond even this Brahman. So Brahman is actually like just a light of the spiritual world where Lord resides. But the actual abode, Vaikuntha abode, or various planets, Ayodhya, Dwarka, Vrindavan, they all exist in the spiritual world. So Lord, he says that as we can see, breathing, breathe out, so many universes are getting created. Lord is saying that he remembers everything happened in past, everything is happening in present, and he know what is yet to come. So that means future. So he knows all the living entities because as a Paramatma he is sitting in his heart, but in every living entity's heart. But hardly there is anybody who actually understands Lord. So this cosmic creations and dissolution cycle, they helps us to understand that Lord has a form, Lord has a personal relations, what Lord likes, what qualities he wants us to develop. And this Brahman is not a final destination. It is just a middle neutral platform if you consider this material universe as a negative. But there are much more positive things to look at this particular spiritual universes. I given this one more diagram which explains the life of Brahma, the Kalpa, Manvantara, Divya Yoga. There are different types of Satya Yoga, Treta Yoga. We can go through this diagram. It gives the idea about we are living in this particular right side bottom corner, Kali Yoga, which is for like 40 to 32,000 years. So you can go through trying to understand the time and space concept here. And the most important part while we coming to the end of this particular chapter is having all this knowledge, the application what matters the most. Application means how we are living our life and how we are living our life. So those who are in full consciousness of me, so people who are able to uh, consciously worship Krishna, consciously, not just as a ritualistically, who know me, who have put efforts to acquire knowledge, who have for hours, they have with attention and focus, they acquired the spiritual knowledge about the Supreme Lord. So, who know me, Supreme Lord, to be governing principle. You remember the first slide from this section? Understanding or seeing the invisible hand of Lord in everything what is happening in this particular material world. So, those who are consciously putting efforts to acquire the knowledge and who understands Lord to be governing principle of this entire material as well as spiritual manifestation, the demigods and all the methods of sacrifice, penances, austerities, only they can understand and know the supreme personality of Godhead. It's a personality. So Krishna is not something, some light or some impersonal Brahman. And even at the time of death, so this is not something which will taken away if somebody is in coma or somebody is not able to express it externally. If somebody has put efforts to acquire this knowledge, apply these principles, develop those qualities, that all efforts will remain in their consciousness even at the time of death. So it's very important that whatever we are going through, trying to develop this vision of seeing the Lord's hand in every situation. So there are so many examples, so many stories in Srimad Bhagavatam or many other nice scriptures who actually tells us that how people actually applied this knowledge and who perfected their lives. So looking at their examples, when we apply this knowledge, when we think, when we contemplate at this situation, understanding how our mind is, our senses are dragging us down, trying to control over them. When we apply this knowledge in personal life, understanding this lust, anger, greed, envy, everything, how it is making us play and trying to resist them. This is all application of this knowledge. So one who applies this knowledge, he will have definitely some great realizations, some deep experiences. And based on this experiences and realization. That is, this is applied knowledge. Based on this, only one can make a progress in spiritual life, and that's an eternal advantage by refining our consciousness. So, thank you so much for your focus and attention in this particular session. Any of you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask. We have 10 more minutes for this session. So let me just revise the slides quickly. This is actually comparatively smaller chapter, easier chapter, but this is a foundational chapter of Bhakti Yoga. So what vision we are talking about is developing this invisible vision. Krishna gives example of this particular pearl necklace and thread behind these pearls. And he gives so many other examples: the taste of water, sound, ability, fragrance, intelligence, so many other things, the whatever glorious and splendorous things which we see in this world, how to see the Lord behind it. We also discussed about importance of this Garbhadana Sanskar, or the importance in which we attract right souls in our family, and right consciousness in which, or right time, whatever these procedures, they are important. And Krishna says that he is actually empowering them, which are not contrary to religious principles. Then we also discussed about Krishna explaining how this entire material modes of nature is actually controlled by him. And anybody who surrenders to Krishna, because surrendering process is now telling Krishna that I am done with material world. Now just put me through some certain situations, certain people, certain association, where I will be able to develop certain qualities, refine my consciousness, and come back to you. When somebody offers that prayer with wholeheartedly, then his whatever tests or whatever situation he has been put through, everything, every perspective brings him closer to Krishna. Then Krishna talks about these four kinds of people who are like determined not to acquire this knowledge, or delete, erase the existence of God from their life, or who are simply foolish and lowest because of their bad habits. They are not able to surrender. We also discussed about people who are distressed, who are looking for some prosperity, and who are inquisitive, and who are looking for real higher knowledge. These people, they surrender. And we also talked about the out of this, who are the best people who are able to apply this knowledge and practice in their daily life. And Krishna says that these people, after many many births, and they understand Krishna as a cause of all causes. So to understand this concept of many births and deaths, we discussed about this cosmic creation, cosmic dissolution. If any of you are interested, I have actually separate PPT, or I can actually take another session also if you want to go through that PPT. So we discussed about this, how these universes are created, and within these universes, people who are still interested quickly to gratify their desires, they try to worship certain demigods, trying to get their desires fulfilled immediately. But the problem is, since the heart is not pure, whatever sense gratificatory desires they may get fulfilled, it will not purify their consciousness. Either they get puffed up, or they become more greedy, or they become more lusty, more angry. So without purifying consciousness, running behind these material desires is all disaster, and everything is temporary, and it's I mean, these resources of material nature are also limited. So we talked about within this material world how it is futile to worship demigods, and then we discussed about what is the actual position of the Lord, because this knowledge, once we understand thoroughly what is the Krishna's position, what kind of qualities Krishna has, what kind of behavior Krishna has towards his devotee. So we understand the definition of perfectness, and then any kind of attractiveness in this material world will not be pulling us back or binding us, including these modes of material nature. So more knowledge we gather about Lord and his devotees and their interaction, more it helps us to get automatically attracted towards the Lord. And in the final slide, we also discussed about application of all this knowledge, how it helps us to get the realized experiences. So that was a quick summary of this entire session. Any other questions or comments, please feel free to ask.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
I have a question about the surrender. Would Krishna accept my surrender if I am not fully surrendered, but I just have some faith, but not fully surrendered yet? Would Krishna accept me?
Krishna accepts even a simple, um, not sincere desire of surrender. Krishna takes that soul also seriously. So even if somebody says, actually, Lord Ram says that anybody who says once I am yours, I take that person very seriously. So Lord Ram is Lord Krishna, and we can see that this principle of Supreme Lord, even if little bit desire of surrender is there, Krishna will give him reciprocate so happily. And even Krishna becomes, actually after Krishna is just waiting in our heart that when will this soul turn towards me. So this whole bhakti yoga is actually, it's very very pleasing to the heart, because we understand more about God and what exactly is looking from us. So you can see Pataram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Krishna is expecting very, very little from us. He is just looking for an opportunity where he can help us to progress towards him. So ultimate surrender to the Lord is a very big concept, that in every situation, every challenges, we just see the hand of Lord and be very extremely grateful. In fact, we request Lord that please give me more challenges where I can realize your presence in my life. That is very high platform. But anybody who even has this simple surrender, even insincere desire to, Lord, let me start this journey towards you, Krishna definitely recognizes. There is no doubt about it. And then after that, with the prayers, Krishna gives him more and more faith and more deeper conviction, and he'll come in right association. He'll come in contact with right knowledge, and this definitely will help him to progress. I hope I answer to your question to a certain extent.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, if not, then I request each of you to please read at least the translations of these verses. So I keep on sharing the link in the description, the Veda-based chapter. So if you just read those verses, in fact, my presentations are most of these verses and few more points. So if you at least read these verses, when you read, read, actually it will help yourself to visualize, contemplate, meditate a lot, and these presentations will help you to connect some dots here and there. So I sincerely request you to please have your own journey of reading these particular scriptural verses and develop your own deeper conviction. In this month of December, last week of the December, I will be traveling, so we'll be having two more sessions for this year, and we'll be able to cover at least half of the Bhagavad Gita in this particular year. So thank you so much again for everybody for participating. And if you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask, or you can message me, or you can put in the group. I'll share the slides to you after the session. Thank you so much. We just chant our final Hare Krishna, and then we'll end this particular session. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, and see you for the next Thursday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.